Former President Donald Trump recently claimed that Ukraine was responsible for starting the war with Russia. This assertion, delivered at his Mar-a-Lago resort, has ignited controversy and drawn sharp rebukes from both Ukrainian and American leaders. Trump suggested that Ukraine could have averted the conflict through negotiations, implying they bear the blame for the ongoing hostilities. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky swiftly condemned Trump's words as disinformation. Former Vice President Mike Pence also refuted the claim, asserting that Russia was the aggressor in the conflict. Pence emphasized that Russia's actions constituted an unprovoked and brutal invasion of a sovereign nation. Trump's statement disregards the overwhelming evidence of Russia's premeditated assault on Ukraine. By propagating a narrative that aligns with Kremlin propaganda, Trump risks emboldening Russia and further hindering diplomatic efforts to end the conflict. The international community must remain vigilant in countering disinformation and upholding the truth about the war in Ukraine. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. This act of aggression shattered the fragile peace in Eastern Europe. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the commencement of what he termed a special military operation. Putin attempted to justify his invasion with a series of false and misleading claims. He alleged that the operation aimed to protect people in the Donbas region, who he claimed were facing humiliation and genocide. Putin further asserted that his goal was to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, rhetoric that has been widely debunked. The international community immediately condemned the invasion, recognizing it as a blatant violation of international law. The United Nations General Assembly voted overwhelmingly to demand Russia's withdrawal from Ukraine. The invasion of Ukraine represents a grave breach of international norms and a tragic return to the use of military force to settle disputes between states. To understand the fallacy of Putin's narrative, it's essential to examine the historical context of Ukraine's independence. In 1991, after decades of Soviet rule, Ukraine declared its independence from the collapsing USSR. This declaration was affirmed through a democratic referendum held in December 1991, in which a clear majority of Ukrainians voted decisively in favor of freedom and self-determination. Ukraine's independence was recognized internationally, including by Russia, which signed the Belavazia Accords, formally dissolving the USSR. Ukraine voluntarily gave up its nuclear arsenal in exchange for security guarantees from Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom under the Budapest Memorandum. Despite these agreements, Putin has consistently sought to undermine Ukraine's sovereignty. He has repeatedly denied the legitimacy of Ukrainian statehood, claiming that Ukrainians and Russians are one people. Recognizing and respecting Ukraine's right to exist as a free and independent nation is paramount to achieving a lasting peace in the region. Trump's recent assertion that Ukraine started the war with Russia directly echoes the Kremlin's disinformation campaign. This campaign aims to distort the truth, sow discord among Western allies, and deflect blame from Russia's actions. By amplifying these baseless claims, Trump unwittingly contributes to the spread of propaganda that serves to undermine international support for Ukraine. Russia has a long history of employing disinformation and propaganda as tools of foreign policy. These tactics, often disseminated through state-controlled media outlets and online platforms, seek to manipulate public opinion and advance Russia's geopolitical interests. The Kremlin's narrative about the war in Ukraine often portrays Russia as a victim of Western aggression. These claims have been repeatedly debunked by independent fact-checkers and international organizations. It is crucial to be aware of and actively counter Russian disinformation efforts. By exposing and refuting false narratives, we can help ensure that public discourse is grounded in facts and that support for Ukraine remains strong. Despite the challenges facing his nation, President Zelensky has emerged as a symbol of Ukrainian resilience and determination. His leadership during the conflict has garnered international admiration, with his approval ratings remaining relatively high despite the immense pressures of war. A February 2025 poll placed his trust rating at 57%, demonstrating continued public support for his leadership. It is also important to note that the White House has not provided any evidence to support Trump's claim. When asked for substantiation of the former president's assertion, the White House remained silent, further highlighting the lack of factual basis for this dangerous narrative. The war in Ukraine is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of upholding international law. By understanding the facts, supporting Ukraine and holding Russia accountable, we can work towards a just and peaceful resolution to this crisis. It is a conflict rooted in Russian aggression and fueled by a campaign of disinformation designed to obfuscate the truth.